Hi, Pearl Foy again, and welcome back to Haircutting A to Z. Today you can see that we've already done our zero elevation, which is holding it straight down. We may be doing that one more time on a different mannequin. I just want to let you know, so when you see A again, our printer, our camera kind of went out on us, so I'll be doing it again. So we're doing B today. Anyways, you can see that we got it straight across. Many times, today our haircut B is the V shaping. Some girls want their long hair to V shape in the back. And many times the biggest mistake is we comb it straight down and we try to get our shears and we stand there and we try and aim it, and then we try and aim it, but then the natural fall of the hair, which is what happens, messes it up, and it's not going to look right. You're going to have little tails here, little tails there. So what we want to do, I want to teach you the correct way to do a V shaping in the back. First of all, you're going to section it into, you can section it into 4 quadrants, but you can see that what we've done here is we do have it parted off. Many times you're going to see us part off at the parietal line to bring that up and out of the way. I'll fix that in just a minute. So you're going to part it off into 4 quadrants. You definitely want to part off that area on the flat part of the head. If you don't know these terms, please look at video A1. That's all we go through, is all the terms that we're going to be using so that you become familiar with them. So the hair itself is sectioned in that form, but everything is going to be directed forward. Surprisingly enough, to make a V in the back, you have to direct it forward. You don't comb it down and try and shape it. You're never going to get it right. So you want to, everything is going to come forward. Now, for a soft V, it's going to come forward in this direction. Do you see my diagram? I'm hoping that you have a piece of paper in front of you, because as I cut it, this kind of gives you a clue. I'm not going to go over all the written stuff there because I'm going to be speaking that. But everything is brought forward, gives you a little bit of a soft V. If you want a sharp V, which is what we're going to do today, you're going to bring everything up to the frontal area. All right, starting from the flat part of the head, traveling back to the center occipital, right here, and you're going to bring it forward. There is no elevation, everything is held down. People might say, well, you elevate it up. No, you direct it. You direct it towards the face and you still hold it down. We're not doing elevation haircuts for a little while. And then as you see, when it comes down, because you have directed everything forward, it's going to V out in the back. So what I'm going to do real quick here, take this down, and I'm hoping that my markers mark. I guarantee nothing. So we have our question mark, correct? Our number 1 and our number 2. You want to section off at the parietal line and then do a center part. All right? You want to section off at the flat part of the head, and then tip of the ear to tip of the ear horizontally across the back, across the occipital area. There's a specific reason for sectioning it like this. What you're going to do, you're not going to start with the top. We're going to start with the flat part of the head. We're going to bring it forward. Everything is going to be sectioned diagonally right there, and everything is going to be brought forward to what's called a stationary guide. In other words, where you cut the first time does not move. Everything comes to it, so it's stationary. As you do that, surprisingly enough, then we're going to start sectioning the back. And you can take small sections at a time. That's one of the reasons you part it off. And that's what we're going to be doing, that to make it a little bit easier for you to see it. As you become more experienced, as you do this cut more often, you'll find that you'll be able to take that whole section. I don't necessarily recommend it, because sometimes it can be a whole lot of hair, and when you have a whole lot of stuff, you may have a whole lot of errors. So I just wanted to show you that diagram. Okay, we always need to, don't ever forget the ear, don't ever forget the tragus. Remember what I said about the tragus in A1. No earrings there, please. If you want to know about that, check the video on A1. So I'm going to take that off, and we're going to get started so we don't have any deterrence to what we're trying to do here. Okay, so we have our mannequin. We've already done the 0. And I'm going to take these off because I don't want you to be focusing on other things. I want you to focus on this haircut. Excuse my back. There you go. I'm going to put this diagram here. And for every cut that you have, I have a diagram. I want you to have a diagram. I can read my own diagrams. That doesn't mean that you can. That's why I want you to specifically take your hair, your mannequin. I recommend that you get a mannequin. I don't want you doing this on real people, not right now. This is, you're learning the cut. You're not watching a cut and doing it. I'm teaching it to you. So we want to make sure that the hair is wet. And the first thing we want to do, we want the V to come to this point here. In other words, we want all of this hair to V into that. That means that there's going to be a lot of layering in the front, surprisingly enough. You'd think that it would be less layering in the front and more in the back, but it's not. Not when you're doing a V-shaped haircut. So I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to turn it on the side because I want you to see that. And before we get started, we are going to practice holding our shear again, exactly how to hold it, so that when people pick this up, they don't think, oh, I can just hold a shear any old way. No, not to get the correct haircut. What are the 3 main forms, most important things about a haircut? First one is section. The next one is elevation or direction. Now you're learning a new word, direction. This is not elevating it out, it's directing it forward and still holding it down at a 0. So direction. The last thing, the most important thing, the cut itself. So we're going to, because this cut is a V shape, now, here's a question for you. I want to make sure my mannequin isn't turning too much, because I want to bring this, pardon me. You don't do that to a client, by the way. Oh, well, it didn't work, but I'm going to bring it forward. And now, are we going to remember what I told you about how you cut it? Are we going to point our fingers forward, or are we going to point our fingers down? So let's point our fingers forward and bring it back. Let's point our fingers forward and bring it back. Let me show you how important this is. If you point the fingers forward, are you creating a V? No, when it goes back, it's going up. That's a different haircut. In order to create the V that you want, you have to point your fingers down. And my mannequin stand is going to drive me nuts, but that's okay. Because as it comes down, do you see how it's going to be a V at that angle? Look at it. Don't just do it. Do this if you have to make sure. Because once you take it off, can you put it back? No, it's gone. So I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to take a good 4 inches, maybe 5 inches off. Look at how much is going to be coming off the sides there, quite a bit. So I'm going to take a good 4 or 5 inches off. I'm pointing my fingers this way because we're already starting our V line. Do you see that? Pointing them kind of down and back. All right, I'm going to get my shear. Oh, by the way, let's stop for a minute. Sorry, so sorry. This is a natural class, okay? This isn't just, I'm not doing anything other than trying to teach you. Do I make mistakes? Yes, and I'm a teacher. All right, hold the shears with what? The balls of your fingers. Ring finger goes into the still blade. Movable blade is the thumb. See it? Look, I'm going to put my finger there. See the thumb? That's the movable blade that comes down to cut, just like when you're cutting meat. Same thing, all right? Your shears, you want to make sure that they're always sanitized, and I'm going to show you how to sanitize them afterwards, but also that they are dry. That's why I always have a towel. A wet shear, this is stainless steel, remember, it's going to rust, it's going to get dull. So you have to make sure about that. Your fingers, the balls of the fingers go there. Primary, secondary, extended. Always making sure visually that you see it straight, and you have to watch the previous video to see how to verify that. All right, so I'm going to bring this forward. I have like a triangle shape. Do you see that? Many people would start here. I'm not going to start there. The reason for that is because I want to maintain that length. So I'm going to take off about good 4 inches. Right? There's my first guide. Another diagonal part. Look for my guide. Take it to the exact same spot. Nowhere different, exact same spot. If you cannot see your guide, you've got too much hair. You need to be able to see your guide. All right, there's my guide. Same angle. Take it off. All the way down diagonally, not straight, not vertical. I want it diagonal. That's the flat part. You need a diagonal parting. Okay, taking it back to the same spot. How do I determine that? That's her chin. I'm taking it right to the chin area. Again, you see the fingers pointed in my direction. Do you see that V line coming in? So, the last part, same spot. Fingers pointed forward, cut. And you can already see that V coming in. All right, now what I'm going to do is at the nape or at the area from ear to ear, let me move this hair out of the way so it doesn't drive us crazy. So I separated it here, tip of the ear to tip of the ear horizontally. I'm going to make sure that the hair is uniformly wet. Now could I have taken this shorter? Yes. What I'm teaching you is a method. This is probably not going to be point V as much as I want because it's just going to come to that area there. But at this point you're going to see that you have the guide. I could have taken 6 inches off here to then bring it back. What you're learning is a method on how to do the V cut. How sharp you want it is going to require length taken off at the front. And many times that's what people don't want because that's what they can see, but they want the V haircut. Another way that this can be done, you can soften that, just take it, you know, just kind of not take it, leave it in other words an A line and then strictly V out the back. There's many variables that you can do with that. What we're doing right now is giving you a method on how to do it. So I'm going to bring that forward. By the way, rule of thumb, excuse my back, rule of thumb, as hair travels, get that mannequin to work for me, as hair travels, it becomes longer. So do you see that it is shorter in the front where we took it off, and yeah, that's not going to reach. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more off in the front so that we can see that yes, it's going to, but you can already see it. If I'd have taken a little bit more off, it would definitely V out. But do you see why you have to bring it all the way down? So I'm going to take just a little bit more off, bring it up, create that V, bring it to the chin, and cut at that angle. Diagonal parting, I'm going to do it real fast here for you. Creating that V, because the other side, when you see the way I hold my fingers, you're going to go, oh my goodness, maybe I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't seen her do it. Okay, so now you're seeing that V coming in even more. All right, I'm going to bring this up, bring it over. There's my guide, not a whole lot. Right at the area behind the ear almost. Bring it over. and very center nape, bring it over. There you go. Now do you see that V coming in? Now do you notice that break line right there? That is caused by this, believe it or not. That's what causes that. This line, this square right here, is the square right there. When you take the hair to a particular, like a stationary guide like we're doing, it develops the lines for the perimeter line. There's your Y. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna bring it, and this is where now we follow our guide. Look at my fingers. Take the center. Now the guide slightly becomes a traveling guide in the back. And all I'm doing is getting rid of that corner that I just created. I don't want to cut anything I don't need to cut, because the natural fall of the hair is what's going to drive you crazy. Again, still going in that V haircut direction. I'm going to take this down, and now all we're going to do is blend to continue on with that V haircut. One thing that I want you to notice on hair this length, now normally when, this doesn't go, this may go to the bra strap, but it's usually hair that is down to the bra strap that people want this. Okay, so now I don't need to bring it all the way forward. Now I just use my guide. Do you see how simple that is? Your guide is created in the front. Now I'm just going to use my guide underneath, again cutting in that direction to create the V. And you can see it coming in. How short you want it is a variable. Now let's go over to the other side so we can cut. Do you notice as I bring it forward, this corner here? Where did that come from and why is it there? We were just talking about a stationary guide. Here's your Y, right here. This little corner here, and you will see, is that corner there. Perimeter line is always going to slightly interfere, and this is where you go in, and now please be very careful with point cutting. You don't ever want to get close to the skin. You want to shift it just a little bit, lay your shear on your ring finger and just snip across. This keeps it light. And there you go. Again, just kind of cleaning that up a bit. And that's part of you looking at your, the person that you're doing this cut for and looking at their natural fall of the hair. Even the mannequin has a slight natural fall to the hair. All right, so I'm going to turn this around. We're going to cover the other side. And I'm just going to go and do exactly what I did before, so you can see. Now, I'm probably going to have to pull this up, but maybe, maybe not. All right, so this time our angle, still the same diagonal, but here's the difference. Now we hold our fingers down. Remember on the other side we were kind of holding our fingers up? That's opposite sides. I need this guide right here to tell me where. So I'm going to take this short section, just a small section, take it to the chin, because remember we're putting it at the chin, right? I'm not going to cut it horizontally, I'm going to cut into it vertically because we're creating a V. So there's my guide for the other side. So again, diagonal parts, bring it up to the chin, hold it straight up and down, and cut it straight up. Am I going to have the same situations with that area at the flat part of the head, which would be the temporal area, and the back? Yes, I am. All right, so this time, like I said, you can take the whole thing if your subsections are very, very thin. And you can see that I've got a whole lot of hair right there that I'm working with. And I don't necessarily want guesswork. I want no work. I want to know what I'm doing. So just to be on the safe side, yes I am. I'm going to separate it, tip of the ear to tip of the ear. That other side's already done. Hang on, I'm too low. There you go. All right, I'm gonna pull that up, get it out of the way, and do this. Get it wet. And remember about palming your shears. The reason we don't put our shears down is clients bring their children, or if you have your children that are watching you do this. Again, we're going to bring this over. Remember that corner there. Vertical part this time because we're at the rounded part of the head. And we're creating a V. And you're going to see we're going to have all the same situations. Same, it's not going to change. Okay, I'm going to bring this down. Oops, wrong one, sorry. If I was perfect, I wouldn't make mistakes, would I? Except the fact that we're not all perfect. How sharp you want your V is also how tight you hold it. To hold it really tight and really strong sharpens that V. I'm creating kind of a soft V. But most of the girls, what they want is when they pull their hair back, they want it to look like a V. That's another thing that you can do is, I'm going to bring this all the way forward again, creating my V. Bring this forward again to the chin, creating that V line. And you can see it. See it start coming in right there. So now, because of that square again, we have a slight square right there, which comes, there it is. So if you know why, you know how to fix it. If you don't know why, now you notice I'm holding it straight down this time to create that V. If you don't know why, how then do you know how to fix it? Again, let me clean this up. I want to take a good look at it, because you can see it, but being that I'm not in front of it, I can't see it. So, all right, now I see that I've got a little bit of a squared off spot there. That's this. This has traveled both ways. That's a straight line, right at the vertex. Straight line going out, so straight line coming down. That's what creates that hard line right there. Part it down the center. Hold it straight down. Now you can shape in your V. See that that is straight? Shape in that V. All right, I'm going to turn the mannequin because I don't want to get in front of the camera. And I'm going to, now, which direction are my fingers pointing? Up. Down on this side, up on the other. Be very careful about that. I have a lot of problems with students doing that. And this is why, this is also why we do not start from the top. We travel up to it. The reason that you travel up to it is so that when this comes down, that area on the bottom now becomes your guide and you work with the natural fall of the hair. So you can see that, and we're even. And that's only because, remember the protractor? 135 degree, 45 degree. If you put a protractor there, you can see it. And those little things are still trying, but I'm not gonna let them. All right, so we're gonna bring this straight down. And now you just follow your guide. Simple as that. But remember, for really long hair, have your client or your person that you're doing this on stand up. Do not have them sit down. You will never get it right by trying to do this and that. Have them stand up so you can see it. You're not hurting them, you're helping them. So I'm going to bring this down, and I'm going to wet it. And now all I do is follow my guide. Now the main thing that I want you to remember in the V cut, let me get this mannequin out. The main thing that I want you to remember, the V it's not supposed to be there. The V starts here. Don't bring it down to the center and try to create that V. You'll go way too short. You want to bring the sides down, and that's where you create your V, and the guide moves forward from this when you're on the bottom. If you're thinking, oh, I think I can just do it, do not. That's why you do not. People try and get that V down the center and don't even know where the center nape is at. Plus, remember what happens in those areas behind the ear? Besides the cowlicks? Cowlicks. All right, so I drop this hair down. I want to get it really wet so I can see it. And if I can't see it, then I'll section off the apex area, because you want to see your guide. You want to see what you're doing. If you can't see it, you don't know what you're cutting. So we're going to bring it down. I'm going to bring it up. Yeah, I think I am going to section off that area at the apex. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop it over to the other side for now so we can get this done. Now, see how you can see the guide now? Couldn't see it before. So I've got my guide. Bring it to the chin. So we're at the same spot. I'm cutting straight up this time. Bring it to the chin. Think about what you're doing. Don't just cut to cut. Okay, that's moving over a little bit further down than the chin. I'm going to get a little bit of a different cut there if I do that. See, this hair is at the chin. This hair is my guide. Prevents error. Got a little bit of a corner. Why do we have that corner? Because of this straight line. It's geometry. All it is geometry. So, geometry. Okay. Bring that over. Bring it over. And all I'm doing now is following that guide. I don't need to direct it. I'm following that guide underneath to create that V line. I'm going to bring this down now. And you can really see that guide. And that's always going to do that. That straight line right there is going to be a determining factor. Now let's say that I would have taken and combed all this hair back to create the V. The V would have really been created in this area. If I would have taken this all the way back and created that V, you would have a little bit of an inversion here because of this and because you took it to a line in the back. A true V haircut is created in this form. And always remember, when you're cutting, you should have Band-Aids just in case. I'm going to take that apex out, move it over so I can see what I'm doing, and I can see my guide. Get it nice and equally wet. I love this because I'm not even spraying now and it still comes out for a little bit. So it saves you time. You just have to be careful not to get somebody's face wet. Okay? So I'm just looking at my guide. Come here. There's my guide. Now this time, the other way. Still working on the V and just following that guide and traveling back. So the V haircut, the true V haircut, is going to create some definite shorter layers in the front if you're doing a true V haircut. Like I said, a lot of people just like you to pull it all the way back, comb it back, and they want to see their V. But understand that when you hold the hair straight down, if hair is that long that they wear it back all the time, it's gonna look all right. But if hair is this length, there's no way that it's going to look all right when you bring this back, because when hair travels, it does what? Gets longer. So if you bring this back, the possibility of it looking like a straight line here is extreme, because you've made it longer. So I'm taking this now and just following my guide underneath. You see that thicker hair on top there. Following my guide underneath. And because I know what that angle is, that diagonal, that 135-degree angle, I don't have a problem with this. Don't guess. Don't start doing this and expect it to V. You've got to hold that shear like a V. V, V. All right? So I'm going to continue bringing this down. And this is our haircut B. This is the second haircut that we're teaching you after we did the 0. And you see that none of this is elevated, it's just directed. Don't mind my timer, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this for you. To bring it, we try and keep our videos at 30 minutes. And I think this one went to like about 35. But you can see that that is, again, taking it to the center, and all I'm doing is following my guide. So that center area is still the original length. And there's your V haircut. Okay. And let me check it real quick, make sure that we're uniform. Yeah, we are. And let me get rid of this corner. And you'll have to do the same thing. But remember, don't change your motion. Don't move it any other way. If you're finding little hairs underneath, then comb it real close in and let the hair on top be your guide. Because when you hold hair out, this hair travels out to become slightly longer. And those are just all technical difficulties in hair cutting. But you can see that it comes down, that it does V out. Is it a sharp V? No, it's not a totally pointed V, but it's definitely a V haircut. All right, thank you very much for joining us today. Remember, always make sure that your shears are dry, and always make sure, get a little bit of cotton, a little bit of alcohol. Be very careful not to rub it in this form when you do the alcohol, but you want to take, let's pretend this is alcohol. You want to take it, clean that side, turn your shear over, clean the other side, close it, and then put your shears away in a closed, dry container. Careful they don't get wet, and honestly, you shouldn't have to sharpen them if you take care of them. Take care. We'll see you for the C haircut.